Welcome to the Sugar and Strength podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Gergen, and today I am super excited to have on Travis Chapman. Travis and I connected on Instagram back during book launch and during the RUCKFit challenge, and he is supporting and bringing awareness to a cause that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is helping bring awareness to arthritis, specifically conditions like osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, which some of you might know my husband was diagnosed with a few years ago, and I'm super excited to have you hear more from Travis. He has been rucking for nearly a year, and I think he just has a very genuine, relatable story about rucking and how rucking has really changed his life. And now he's using this as a vehicle to help create awareness and bring support to the University of Florida with his most recent challenge. And specifically, this challenge is going to support research for arthritis, and I'm excited to share more with you today. I will say that I'm having some audio difficulties today, so if I sound a little bit different compared to previous episodes, please bear with me. My internet was down this morning. Now my mic is being complicated, but we are not delaying this conversation because it is very timely and very important. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Travis. Travis, you are the man of the hour. You are usually the man on the other side of the mic. And I am so excited to get to hear more about your story today, hear more about a rucking challenge. I polled Instagram followers probably a month ago, and I think, 10 out of 10 people were wanting a rucking challenge. So excited to hear more about you today and what you have. So maybe before we get in, for somebody that's, new to you, do you want to share a little bit about like how you got into rucking?
Yeah, so basically it was about a year ago. It was in June 20th actually. I was online, came across a thing for GoRuck, and I was like, what is this GoRuck thing? Like, what does that even mean? And so I went on their website, started looking at stuff, saw what they were, what it was about. Coincidentally, being in video and film and that kind of stuff, a lot of times when I'm just doing stuff maybe on the road or whatever, I'm loading up a backpack with gear. It's usually around probably 20 or so pounds. And I'm kind of rucking, I've always kind of done that as part of the job, from time to time. And so after watching, like I said, several of their videos and kind of getting a sense of what they do, I said, I'm going to do this today. So I loaded up the camera bag. It's about, like I said, 20, 25 pounds. Went out to this spot that I know is kind of like, it's basically an industrial park with a circle that's about a mile. Did that, got done, and said, okay, I'm going to come back and do this tomorrow. And then I just kept doing it. And then as things kind of progressed, basically I just started getting different pieces of gear, actual weights to put in a bag, that kind of thing. But that's kind of how it all started. I was just really intrigued by like GoRuck, the gear, these different things they had, challenges, events, things like that. It just seemed really cool. And I've been doing it ever since. So
That's amazing. So you were rucking more than just camera gear around eventually. So
yes, yeah. No, it definitely, I kept it slow because I don't have a great track record with exercise. I might try something for a little while and then I get kind of bored, or I just decide I'm not doing this anymore. And for some reason, when I did that first ruck, I was just like, okay, this is interesting. Like, I like this. There's something about it that's just kind of clicking with me. And so the way I kind of progressed in a snapshot, if you will, is I stayed with that bag and like the gear that was in it for probably about 2 or 3 weeks. And then I got some actual weights from GoRuck. I used an older camera bag I had because I didn't want to destroy that one. Put a 30 pounder in there, moved up to 30 pounds. And then from there, did that for probably a good maybe month or so, and it might have gone up to 35 pounds. But there was a 5K challenge that GoRuck was doing. It's a virtual ruck for Canines United and I think it's the Fallen Canines Memorial Fund. And so I did that, posted about it, had a blast. And then since then, I've kind of done some other rucking, like basically me challenging myself, little things like that. Maybe increasing the weight, that kind of thing. But that's what I love about it, honestly. I mean, I love the fact that, I can have situations where, okay, I'm going to go out and just do a mile. I'm not, I've got 30 pounds in, I'm just going to do a mile today, where like tomorrow I might go out and do the equivalent of a 5K. So that's what I just like about it. Or I can adjust the weight, you know, bring the weight up or down, that kind of thing. So that to me has been kind of interesting as far as having those adjustments that are so easy to make. And honestly, I don't know what it is about it. Like, it really is strange to me that it has like kind of clicked the way it has, because nothing else has clicked like this before when it comes to, like, I'll just say exercise routines, things like that.
I totally relate. Like I was on the all or nothing wagon all the time. It was like it was either doing like super long detailed workouts or like some deep couch sitting. There was no in between. And I feel like you said rucking is one of those things where it's like, okay, today I'm gonna go out and do a mile. You know, the next day maybe I'm gonna go out and do a 5K. Like it's just so flexible. And I think what I'm hearing from you too is like that community component, like having that accountability and that community. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that GoRuck was actually like it or is an event company too. They don't just sell gear. It's like you can do all kinds of challenges. And I'm guessing like there was the specific date. Was June 20th? Was that the Canine Ruck, like the 5K that you did?
No, that was the first day I
Okay.
rucked. So that was the very first time I went out, and then the canine ruck was like 2 months later in September, and then from there I did another 5K in November. They were doing I don't remember what they called it. It was like the end of November. They had a ruck where it was a 5K. It was kind of a funny story because at that point I was doing like usually 45 pounds was what I was doing at that point. And so I had been practicing with 45 pounds, keeping it to like the 3 miles, you know, and or a little over. And so I'd gotten the information about the ruck, and it talked about this, like, you're going to go to these points and you're going to take pictures. I'm like, what is this? Like, are we rucking or what? Like, what is the ruck? You know? So anyways, I get there, I figure out what it is. Like, you've got to load in all these points, and then you got to, you know, follow the trail, take a photo, scan the QR code. Anyways, sounds easy, you know, unless you punch something in your map wrong, which I had done. And even though there's other people around, sometimes, you know, you're just kind of wandering going, am I really going in the right way? Like, this doesn't seem right. I think that day I ended up rucking about a little over 4 miles, which is the furthest I had done with 45 pounds. So needless to say, I got done that ruck, and the next week I was thinking about it, and I said, you know, I haven't done this yet. I'm going to take the 45 pounds this Sunday, and I'm just going to see how far I can go. I'm just going to go until I want to stop. Well, I ended up doing a 12K basically, and I'd had enough. I was like, okay, I'm tapping out at 12, you know, I'm good. And so it was kind of neat, you know, it's like, it's funny how you hit these little moments where either, you know, you might read something or you go do something and you realize, you know, I haven't tried that. I'm going to go try that, you know, and do it. So anyways, I just found that really kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's like you got some bonus mileage on the, was it a scavenger ruck?
Yeah,
Or
that's
the
probably
city
what it was
ruck?
called. Yeah, one of
Okay.
those. Yeah. And I just didn't totally oblivious to like that whole idea until I was really there, and we're like having to write down these addresses. I'm like, oh my God, like I am so lost. But it worked out great. And the thing that's awesome when you talk about the community thing, like everyone is so helpful. You know, like at one point I was following this family, I guess. It just was coincidence. We just ended up kind of hitting the same points at the same time. And at one point I was, you know, taking the photo or scanning the thing, and the mom turns to me and she's like, do you want to just jump in with us for a bit? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, so I followed them for a bit and we did a few things, and then that was when I hit a moment where I had entered an address wrong, because I'm like, I think I've got to go this way. I'll catch up with you guys, I'm sure at some point, you know. And turns out, like I said, it was just a bad entry, so I ended up going back the other way. But anyways, it was one of those kind of moments where you're just like, okay, yeah, gotta write things down a little better next time.
Well, it's nice because it's all the people that rucking brings into your life too. Like,
Yeah,
had you not met new friends if that
yeah,
wouldn't have happened?
exactly. So, and that's why I say
Mhm.
it's great, because everyone is very helpful. I mean, you know, it's funny with GoRuck and the whole, like, when they, I don't know if you've ever done any of their things, but when they put like their rules about what's going to happen day of and all this stuff, they definitely are tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've seen it, but they're super helpful. Like, nobody there is going to like turn you away because you're asking a question, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, how does this work? Oh yeah, no problem. Come here, let me help you. You know, that kind of thing. So that was cool, you know, to be part of that and kind of get to know some of those people there, you know, at Go Ruck. And I was just at the Ruckapalooza thing they had a few weeks ago over there, and did the 5K there. So that was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, they have some really great people leading the pack. I like got to meet Emily McCarthy, the co-founder, so Jason's wife at the I went to the Ruck and Flow, their first Ruck and Flow in Costa Rica, and I was like, "Oh, this will be like great, like good timing for book promotion." And it was the most amazing thing. I was super nervous like signing up to go essentially on this trip with 20 women I'd never met before, and all of the leaders were just amazing. Emily is so humble, and she has such a cool story. I think her and Jason both have a really cool story. So it's always nice when you get like really cool, good leaders like that are a part of that community too, versus being more hands off. And they are so involved, which is cool to see, especially with a company I think that big.
Yeah, and I've met Jason. I've talked to him. I actually talked to him about this Ruck challenge when I was at Ruckpalooza, and and he was great. He basically was just kind of like, I think you just do it. Like there's no like either you're going to do it or you're not, so just do it. And he's like, it'll probably be terrible the first year you do it. You're not, because it's just the reality of these things. And him not knowing totally what I was thinking of doing.
Tell us about Rock Forward, your challenge. Like what was the inspiration for that?
So the Ruck Forward thing basically was an idea that just kind of hit me just completely out of the blue. There was no, like, I probably was out rucking more than
That's
likely.
where the best ideas come in.
You know what I mean? I'm just out there, my mind's wandering. And, this idea hits me. But at the time, I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. So I just wrote it down, and I use my notes on my phone all the time. So I just plugged it in there and really didn't think much else about it. Well, then 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then it just kind of hits me like, why haven't you thought of this before? Marrying rucking with putting out some awareness for arthritis when your wife has two forms of arthritis. And so basically, I just said, you know what, instead of just putting up a website and all this information under, like, say, Ruck Arthritis or something to that effect, I'll use the Ruck Forward thing as sort of the base. And so that's how those things came together. And then as far as the rucking, component of it goes, and you can walk it or run it, it doesn't really matter. It's basically the numbers for the 1 mile, the 5K, and the 11K are sort of based on, there's basically one rheumatologist for about every 11,000 patients with arthritis in the United States. That's about the average. It's probably a little higher, a little lower in some, spots, whatever. But I thought there's really interesting stats. So kind of playing off of like Canines United and their, what is it, 9K for canines thing they do. I said, well, we'll do 11, for the 11,000 patients. The 1 miler is kind of for that lone doc, and then the 5K is just for the month of May. We're doing a 5K for arthritis. Part of it for me too is just a frustration because, we haven't cured a lot. And I know her rheumatologist kind of said to us, like, when it comes to autoimmune conditions, she feels like arthritis has kind of taken a back seat because of some of these other ones that have been getting more attention. Not to say that there aren't doctors out there giving it everything they have, but I feel like, there should be something more than just, here, we'll give you the pain relief and good luck to you and hope it works. You know what I mean? There's got to be something more. So hopefully this will get the word out there, because as of right now, we can't do anything to reverse it, but at least it might maybe slow it down if you're a person that's at risk. So that's kind of that stuff in a nutshell. As far as, I don't know how much of a nutshell that was, but anyways.
Yeah, it's all good. No, and I love that you're just like you said, creating awareness around this. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
something that's near and dear to my heart because when you reached out, I was like, yes, I would love to support this. Like my husband was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis about
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. Feels like a lifetime ago, but like you said, just the, lack of rheumatologists out there, it's a big hurry up and wait game. And for anybody that's, suffering in chronic pain, that's the last thing that you want to hear. It's a lot of, okay, well, we'll see you in 4 months and then we'll start to figure things out. And I would imagine that you were probably witnessing, your wife in that journey too. It's just a lot of hurry
Mm-hmm.
up and wait and kind of getting the runaround when it comes to answers.
For sure. And I mean, just to touch on that a little bit, like when it comes to her situation, basically up until about I guess it was a little over a year ago, the way things kind of worked with her is, she might have times where she had some pain, where it was like, oh, my hands got me today, or maybe my ankles are bugging me, but nothing really, I'll just say significant. And then about a year ago, she got nailed, we think, they don't know for sure, where both the osteo and the rheumatoid were kind of flaring up at the same time, which she had never had happen before, and it just took her out. Like, she just completely hit the floor, if you will. And we spent many times going to the ER over the next couple months, getting in with a rheumatologist and figuring that out. And so the last year has been really different compared to what it had been, because she's pretty much, it's touch and go. Like, if she says, I'm going to go for a walk or something, or even like yesterday, we were out at the mall picking up a few things, just that walk through the mall, she kind of said, okay, I'm good. You know what I mean? Because we had talked about doing a walk yesterday, and she's like, yeah, I think that was the walk, you know? But kind of a funny side story to all this. Last year, before she had the flare-up, we had bought tickets to see Metallica on their 2-show tour thing they're doing, right? And so, you know, it'd been years since I'd seen him. She'd never seen him. And on the second night, Pantera is opening for them, and she's always wanted to see him, even though right now it's only like 2 of the original members or whatever. So as we're getting closer to this date, it was just been like, it was like constant check-ins, like, do you want to do this or not, you know? And she's like, we're going. And I said, okay. So we go, and the intention is like, and this is kind of also like helping your spouses with rheumatoid, things to think about, especially when she was in kind of the position she was, is, okay, it takes as long as it takes to get in and out of the stadium. We know that. So we're not worried about it. It is what it is. Try to park as close as we can, and that's all we can do. And then, so we go to the first night, we go to the show, we get in, everything's fine, we're in seats. Show ends, we leave, get out to the car. I had brought some ice packs and different things, and so she's putting that on her ankles and all that kind of stuff. And then you have like a day in between, and then you're back again for the second show. And so, same routine, we head down, get to the show, do our normal routine going in, getting out, same thing. So Sunday morning rolls, or Monday, it was either Monday or Sunday, I forget which day. She's laying there in bed, and I could tell, like, she's in pain. And I said, you okay? And she's like, it's not fun. I said, you kind of regretting that second night? And she just looks at me and smiles and goes, no, I'd go again tonight if they were playing again tonight. You know, so it's like, there's just that level of just, you know, you have these moments where, you know, like, they're in a lot of pain, you know, that she's got to be. And yet at the same time, I'll go do it again. You know what I mean? I'll probably regret, you know, it'll probably drive me nuts that I did it, but I did it, you know. So we had a good time. It was fun. But that was kind of the experience, you know what I mean? Just thinking ahead to all those things you got to kind of do to make sure, like, driving back, she's in a good spot as much as you can be in a car.
Yeah, you definitely become, I think, a lot more sensitive to situations like that. Or, like you said, if you're planning ahead for events, I know we've been just more mindful to like plan to not have plans. It's like, okay, well, we've got some events coming up. We know that, you know, for my husband, we've realized just how big stress is a big stimulus. I think that really kind of makes him flare. So we know that we've got to balance stress with rest, and it definitely impacts social life. I feel like we've had some wonderful friends where it's like, okay, let's reschedule. Tonight's not the night. So I think just having that flexibility is so helpful. Like in your case, the last thing she wants to do is let you down, giving them
Oh,
some grace and in that too
yeah.
is awesome.
And I think you have to be patient with it, because one thing I was thinking about this when I was looking at, you know, this interview and thinking about what I would say about different things. And when it comes to like you and I being the spouses, or just anybody, a relative that has to be around that person in situations where it might be challenging, the one thing that leading up to a year ago, because most of the, I'll just say, pain she'd have wasn't really severe. I mean, it was fairly minor pain she was having. It's not like they're a person that's sitting there with a cast on. You know what I mean? Like, there's not something visual sometimes where, yeah, they might show you visually they're in pain or have trouble moving around at times, right? But like, there's not that just constant reminder in your face letting you know that. So I think sometimes, like, reminding yourself and just being patient, because for me, before that moment a year ago, it was more just like, she might say to me, oh, today, you know, I'm having a rough day, or, you know, last night was rough, you know, doing whatever we might have done or something. But it was few and far between, it seemed like, where since last year, it's been a lot more frequent. And so it's just that constant reminder of like, okay, we got to make sure we build in that time or whatever it might be, you know what I mean, to make sure she's in a good spot, getting around, or, if it's just something even around the house, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, kind of picking that up a little bit. And I think what I'm hearing you say too is just like you have that silent disease almost, like nothing's maybe visually apparent. And I just saw a bumper sticker actually the other day, and I was going into Aldi. I'm remembering it really clearly now. I was going into Aldi, and it just was a bumper sticker, parked in the handicap, and it said like not all disabilities are visual or something along those lines.
Oh,
But just
okay.
I think it just
Yeah.
really goes back to you never know what somebody's going through, like, whatever that, visual appearance is or not. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
for sure, for sure. And it is tough because like I said, they're just not those cues sometimes, It's like got to move at
Yeah.
the pace we're moving.
Right. Yeah, and after I know going through all this, I certainly have a whole new appreciation for anybody like suffering with chronic pain. I think it was something that I would just hear, like you hear arthritis and it's like, oh yeah, that's something, it's something you get when you're old or, whatever that might look like. And I think now like a lot of people don't realize like the rates of things like autoimmune diseases and rheumatoid arthritis are increasing exponentially, and just that care isn't always catching up. I actually saw another kind of visual graph. It was showing just doctors in different specialty areas. It was showing availability, like you mentioned, what was it, 11,000
Yeah,
people. There's one rheumatologist, and it also showed their salaries. And guess who is on maybe second from the bottom?
they are, right,
Rheumatologists.
man. Wow.
They were like, you have all the different medical specialties, and this was a list of maybe 30 to 50 specialties. And I think you've got like your plastic surgeons at the top, and then you've got your rheumatologists at the very end of the spectrum. So I thought that was really interesting and might kind of be one reason why we're seeing just that, lack of awareness there too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really is. It's tough because, and not to knock on anybody, but like just the getting in, they've got so many people they're dealing with. I mean, it's not just a matter of saying, well, oh, this person's just not doing their job or this person's not paying attention or whatever. They're just inundated. I would have to imagine the rheumatology office at UF just gets slammed with everybody trying to do the same thing we're doing. You know what I mean? Get an answer, figure it out, that kind of thing.
Right.
But
Well, and
yeah,
I think now it's like we have things like Chat GPT, for example. It's like you
mm,
can plug in your symptoms. And I think people, like one positive of that is I think people are maybe coming to medical visits more prepared, or I feel like are getting some of that education. But I mean, when you think about access to medications, I don't know, if your wife is on anything. I know my husband has really started some things that have made a big difference, but even that access, it's like, some medications are thousands and thousands of dollars a month just to,
and there's also and this is probably very dependent on insurances and stuff too, but I mean, you do have that component, which is how quickly can you get them from this one they're on that's maybe not working to the next thing that you think makes sense. And that's a whole process because it's never just as simple as, oh yeah, just come in, go to wherever next week and they'll have it there and you're ready to go. There's always two or three things probably you have to do to prove to whoever that this is necessary or they need this, right? So
oh my
there's
gosh, I'm
also that
thinking
whole
about,
thing.
yeah, my husband, we had the same, just that exact scenario. It's like you have to fail these other medications. And I think one of them was prednisone methotrexate, which is basically low key chemotherapy. And they just trash your immune system. Not to mention long-term roid rage. So that was real fun. But no more prednisone in the picture. But like you said, it's like we had to show failure of these other medications, which you think of just like a lot of mental health drugs. It's like, okay, well, you got to wean them up, you got to wean them down, and just to change meds is a month-long process. And one thing with rheumatoid arthritis, like you said, it's like one week it might be the wrists, then maybe it's the shoulders or the hips, like any of those joints that have the fluid essentially in them are a lot of the joints affected by rheumatoid arthritis, and it changes. By the time you make your doctor appointment, it's going to be something else that's traveling. So it's really hard to diagnose. And It sounds like you've been just a wonderful support. Just, I think your flexibility again, like just being very gracious in thinking about your wife and doing those extra things, I think as a spouse is really, really helpful. So,
Yeah, and I think you have. I mean, it's who you are. I mean, you're either that way or you're not. And I just feel like when it came to last year was such a unique kind of scenario that it really made me go, holy cow, like this is not good where she's at with this. And then, you fast forward to like you're talking about with the meds, and I don't know how many she's switched to in the last year. We found out not too long ago a med she was on wasn't doing anything. She's like, I'm not feeling anything off this. I don't remember what the med was, but essentially they give you a steroid as part of like the pre-treatment before they do the medication. And so when she was explaining to a rheumatologist, like, yeah, basically I feel good for like maybe a couple days and then it's like nothing. And the rheumatologist is like, you know what? I don't even think you were getting anything off the med. I think you were just feeling the steroid. She's like, and that was it. So for 2-3 days, she'd get a little bit of a relief from that. And then the actual medication that's costing all this money wasn't doing a thing, and she was on that for a few months because they want you to try it and see like, okay, give it a month, try it again. But yeah, I was really surprised by that. But then at the same time, it kind of it makes sense. Like the steroid's not going to hang in there that long anyways for whatever they're giving her to just kind of do the dose. But I thought that was interesting because I was like, oh, wow, like that's
yeah.
crappy.
And the steroids just help bring down that inflammation. And that was one that my husband was immediately like very responsive to. But it's, yes, something you don't want to be on all the time, long term, if you can avoid it.
So we'll see. Hopefully this one will do the trick because, it's like anything. It's not fun. And I'm
Hmm.
not even the one in pain. You know what I mean? So
Yes, it's like you just feel helpless. I think as a spouse, you just want to like shoulder some of that pain. And yeah, it's tough. You can only do so many dishes or clean up and do some of those things.
for
But
sure.
yeah, well, and I think one thing that I've learned too is just like we've learned to, I think, make plans to not have plans, but then when you do have a good day, it's like being spontaneous. It's like, okay, today is a good day. We are gonna clear our calendars if we can and like go do something or whatever that might be. So I think really having that flexibility is nice if you want to capitalize on those so-called good days.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I hear you on that because it's the same here. Like if we can squeeze something in or do something, we do it. And like the thing with the concert last year, we were just at a concert last week. And the next day she's feeling it, and she had taken the day off because she knew that would be a thing. Yeah, you got to do it. You got to keep trying to do stuff as much as you can, in my opinion. So,
Right. And I know we discovered some cool apps too. Well, I should say for my husband, we found out which kind of helped put another piece of the puzzle together. So, first he was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and then about a year ago, we found out he's got fibromyalgia too. So, it just knowing that he's got that secondary diagnosis has really helped. But this is like weather is such a big thing. It's unreal. We'll check the barometric pressure and, sure enough, that almost aligns to the hour sometimes of like the onset of symptoms. But with that, we found a couple apps. I think one of them is called Wellness Watch. And basically, it'll tell you based on your, condition, whether that's rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, it'll tell you, take different factors, weather included, and tell you whether what the risk is that day. Is it like low, moderate, or high on symptoms? However, I think you have to take that with a grain of salt because if you're feeling good, then you look, you're like, oh, I should feel like crap today. Sometimes that can cloud your judgment
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit.
Change things up a little. Oh, wait a minute, I feel good. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So there's weather, or excuse me, Wellness Watch, and then Bearable was another one. So it's Bearable, that's spelt with the animal bear.
Okay.
And then you can track symptoms on there too. But I think if you're diligent about tracking symptoms, it'll help identify trends on certain things. So, especially with just the change of medication, leaning on and off things, it's hard to tell what's what. So I have to ask, does your wife, has she tried rucking?
She can't really ruck right now because like her equivalent of rucking is just walking. She'll like, for instance, it was a few weeks ago now, but we went out. I ruck, so I'll have my backpack on. We'll do like that day in particular. I think she ended up doing a little over a mile. I would just continue on, or we just go back to the house and then I go back out or something. But But she did it and did fine with it. Next day, obviously, she was feeling it a little bit, I think in her ankles. And that's the other thing, too, I was going to mention, like on the spouse side of things, is just the idea that, like, the thing you said about planning for no plans or having no plan. I'm probably getting it backwards,
Like
but
making plans to have no plans. Yeah.
there it is. Yeah. It's kind of how it is, because we can talk about different things that may happen, but it really is going to come down to that. Is she going to be up for it? And there have been times she's surprised me. I really didn't think we'd go to the second show for Metallica. I really thought she'd be like, I'm good. I think we'll just see if we can sell them, call it a day. And so when she went, I was surprised, because like with any of this stuff, I try not to really push anything. I try to be as laid back about it as possible because I'm not in that position where I'm feeling the kind of pain she's feeling. So I just try to look at it like, let her do her thing. If she wants to go do this today, great. Because, we've had times where we might have talked about, oh, let's go do this or do that or whatever. And then that day comes and it's, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. So I think just being flexible on that front when it comes to being a caregiver, spouse, whatever it is, it's like you're kind of seeing which way they're going to go.
Yeah. And I will say that sometimes that lesson comes hard. I'm very type A. I love to plan. I'm very detail oriented. So once I have my mind set on something, so I think that has really helped me be more spontaneous and more flexible because that certainly was not in my language before. So I think this was like something that you certainly get into your rhythm with time and yeah, it helps to I think have that understanding. 'Cause sometimes it's a lesson learned. And the last thing you want to do is create more friction for somebody that just isn't feeling like themselves already.
Yeah, for sure. That's totally true there. You got that nail on the head.
Well, and I'll say one thing, another pro on, I would say, rucking is like whether you're the spouse or whether you're the person with arthritis. I will say I've kind of seen it in both scenarios. As the spouse, which is nice, it's if somebody's moving at a slower rate, you can put more weight on. You can still get a great ruck in. I know I've done that. Or one thing that we've discovered with my husband too, on good days, motion is lotion. Like sometimes, like once he gets going, that has really helped. And I think he loves rucking too when he's able. And just being able to scale it up or down, like based on, okay, today's a bad day. I'm just going to go for a walk. Today's a good day. I'm going to throw 30 pounds on or whatever that might look like. I think that really helps. You mentioned the bone density. I will say, just with arthritis in mind, rucking is also low impact. So for anybody that, struggles with joints, rucking is just a really great exercise for that too, because you're not just pounding away at your joints. Well, you shared a little bit about your wife. How about your journey in rucking? You've been in it for we're coming up on your 1 year anniversary
Yeah.
for
Yep.
rucking, right?
Yes. Yes.
So after nearly a year of rucking, what, if any, benefits, like physical or mental, do you feel like you've experienced?
Well, I think I'll start with a mental thing. I think it's helped a lot, and just it's a nice space to kind of go clear your head because there's literally days I'm out on the ruck and there might be a million things that I'm sort of, I'll say, unloading, right? Mentally, just thinking about this thing or that thing. And then there's other days where I'm literally going out and saying, I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just going to put some music on, or I might be just in the woods listening to the sounds of the wood and just clearing my head, just trying not to think of anything. And then from a physical standpoint, in terms of like just different things there, I've had better test results on different things I have going on with me, physically. I've lost some weight. And like I mentioned earlier, like the way I'm doing it, I'm doing it in a slow way because one, I didn't want to scare myself, like, oh yeah, you go out, you load up all this weight and then you injure yourself and then you get bummed and then you don't do it again, right? So I purposely have like avoided, other than the times like I mentioned earlier where, see how far I can get. And I think I've come to a pretty good balance because like I read your book and around the same time I read Jocko Willink's book about discipline. And the thing that was interesting to me is one thing I was struggling with this whole time was diet, like not that I was overeating, but I was still kind of eating, I know, more than I should, maybe snacking a little more than I should, that kind of stuff. But I'm still out there every day, rucking, doing my thing. And I read your book and I read his book. And the thing that was interesting is you both had these like things that got me thinking about rucking, or excuse me, diet, the way I thought about rucking. So with rucking, I thought about it in increments. I'm going to start off slow, do this distance for so long, then gradually move up. Well, with the diet thing, you tend to want to just go, well, I'm going to cut out everything that's bad for me and see how that goes. And obviously that's a terrible idea. I wasn't necessarily doing that, but I wasn't doing anything necessarily super beneficial all the time. And so what I decided a couple months ago is, like, for instance, I'm terrible when it comes to sweets. I love, candy, whatever. And so I said, I'm just going to cut out that. Like, I'm not going to worry about carbs when it comes to bread. I'm not going to worry about pizza and all this other stuff. Just candy bars, cake, whatever. I'm just going to try to avoid that stuff. And it's weird because it got to a place that by the time we hit Easter, we had picked up some, cupcakes. My wife and son, whatever, wanted some. And I had no interest in them. Like, I didn't have any of them. And it's the same with, like, other things like that, like if it's in the house, And the thing that was funny is in Jocko's book, I thought this was really interesting when I read it, because it was like, that's really smart, is to kind of cure that, like, sweet tooth thing. What he does is he'll take, say, like whipped cream, which doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, and maybe just sprinkle some walnuts on it and have a few spoonfuls of that. Or take some dark chocolate, dip it in some coconut oil. And I'll be honest, I feel this way. Like, I still feel like I'm having this treat, but I know it doesn't have nearly the sugar as like a piece of cake or an ice cream. So that's been kind of cool, because for the last couple months, I've sort of adjusted to that and doing things that way. And it's, like I said, I can't think of the last time I really had something like a candy bar or anything like that, other than a dark chocolate, piece of dark chocolate or something. So that's been kind of a cool thing, seeing that happen. And then I'll start to expand that out to other things. And I'm eating a lot less than I used to as well. Like, I'm just dialing in the way I'm eating things sometimes, I just dial it back a little bit. But
It's wild how your taste buds change, like especially if you just like have that, like I have a lot of people describe it, it's like a fishing hook in the cheek. Like I just have something sweet and I just need more of it, like I'm just hooked. But then once you remove some of that, it's wild how then you do have something down the road and you're like, this doesn't even taste good.
well, and as a nutritionist, I'll just throw this at you. I'd read recently that Harvard did a study on ice cream, and that's actually beneficial to your heart and different things or something like that. But it has to be certain ice creams. It's not just like anything. Like, they have certain brands they recommend that are made supposedly the right way. And so just because I was curious, I'm like, I'm going to go buy some of this because I want to try it just to see what it tastes like. And it definitely, I mean, to me, and once again, it's been a while since I've had anything like that. It didn't taste as sweet as I thought it would taste, but I've had it a few times, and then since having it, I'm kind of like, I'm going to hold off on it for a while. I don't feel like I wanted, like I don't, like right now feel like, oh, I got to go up and grab a bite or whatever. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't really need it. I was just trying it to try it, but now, like you said, the taste buds are all kind of a little all over the place. So who knows?
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with a client because she came to me and she was just tons of like sweet like carb cravings, and we were working with CGM. We just kind of like her blood sugar is on a total 180 and just balancing that out. I have a colleague who calls that it's a noise canceling diet. Basically, when you're able to kind of even out some of those blood sugar spikes and drops, basically that helps remove some of that noise. Or like you said, the ice cream is not calling from the freezer. I can actually sit at my computer and I can think. Things aren't talking to me from the cupboard, but yeah, it's crazy. Like just you even out that biology, then we can work on the psychology. Much like rucking, I feel like food was like that. It's like kind of all or nothing, either on the
Yeah.
wagon or off the wagon.
Yeah, and just going back to the rucking thing too, that's how I was. Like, I was really pushing every day. Like, I would just go out every day. Unless there was a scheduling conflict or something weird came up that I'm just not gonna go, I wouldn't go. But it was funny because when it comes to your book, the other thing I think in your book you're talking about is having break days. So after I read it, or while I was reading it, I was like, well, maybe I'll try that. And so I started trying it, and I made it like, well, I'll make Saturday and Sunday kind of my days to sort of chill out. And I ran into an interesting problem because I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is weird. If I'm not out there doing this, it just feels weird to me. I know that sounds crazy, but it really did. And so now I've adjusted it to kind of like, okay, if I go out, I'll just use less weight, or I'll just do a mile instead of 3 or 4 miles, or, you know, that kind of thing. So that's been my negotiation for like how I justify going out every day. I'm not like killing myself when I go do it. I'm doing a more toned down exercise, I guess you could say. So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now, because like I said, it just felt weird. Like, it was so strange. And I didn't expect it. I thought, oh, this will be easy. And literally I'm sitting around here on a Saturday afternoon or something. I'm like,
Like you're craving rucking.
God, like I need to go out and do this, even if it's just up the street and back. Because like I basically do a really short ruck with the dog every morning. Like him and I, we go out and he does his little walk and we go around and do our thing. And it's super short because he's older, and he gets so excited to go. He's like a little puppy when we're getting ready to go, and he's like bouncing around. And then by the time we get back here, he's, okay, all right, I'm good. I'm set, Dad. I can chill out now and take my nap. Okay, thanks. So
I'm making a prediction that pretty soon people are going to have to start spelling RUCK, much like people spell WALK for dogs, because dogs are just going to, like, rucking is going to be synonymous with walk. Like, do you want to go for a ruck?
yeah. I mean, it really is, because he loves it. As soon as I sit down and start putting the shoes on, he knows more than likely it's time to go. And I'll give him a little nod, and he starts tap dancing around. He goes and grabs a toy, throws it around. He's like ready to go. So it's fun to see that, because he's a boxer, so they're already kind of weird. Like, they're just the breed they are. But
I hear
yeah,
they're
it's
very
fun.
gassy too. I feel like they put
Yes.
off a
Yes, very much so. Them and we have a Boston too, and he's the same way, very gassy. So
yeah. But that's what a great accountability buddy. Like, that's a really
yeah,
hard face, I would imagine. Like, once you sit down to put your shoes on, like there's
oh
no
yeah,
saying no to that.
it's hard. The days I
Mhm.
have, like if I had to go in early, whether it was I'm leaving town for something or just had to get to the office early, and I'm just not going to fit it in that morning, I hate it, because I know he's like, nah, thought we were going to go. But most days we get it in.
Well, circling back to something you said too, just that variability. I think a lot of people get the idea that they have to ruck with the same amount or same distance every single day. And I really appreciate that about you and your story, about that flexibility of not only like practicing that same flexibility that you have with your wife with rucking, just to help keep that motivation going, because I think that is so key to having that consistency long term. And I love that you've built that into the challenge. So essentially, listeners can do a 1 mile, a 5K,
5K, yeah, or
or an
11K.
11K. Okay, perfect.
And they can do it as many times as you want, do it whenever you want. The whole month is open. And I think I've got this on the website. Like, we're waiting to hear back. The patches should be here next week. So anyone wanting to get the patch, donate, that kind of thing, they'll ship out as soon as I get them in. Even doing that, or do a screen grab of what the patch is and put that up on your Instagram or something, just get it out there. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Get some movement on it, make things better, for everybody out there that's suffering with it.
Right. I love that too. And I'm thankful that you didn't hold off until May 2027. That even if you felt like you got a late start on it, it was still something that you did, because, like how you had mentioned earlier, you just kind of learn as you go. You learn what works and you learn what doesn't. And I think at the end of the day, it's about awareness. And with that, like, where can listeners get their patch? Where can they learn more about
Yeah.
Ruck Forward?
Yeah, so if you just go to the RUCKFWD, which is RUCKFWD, the abbreviation for forward.com, on there's the Ruck Arthritis Challenge. And in there, it just lays out what the challenge is, and then you just click on the products, the patch is there if you want to order a patch, and that'll be a donation. It's going to go to the UF Foundation for UF Health's like research into arthritis, where Wanda is there for her treatments. And so I've got a contact over there that I'm just waiting to hear back from at this point. I was hoping to have the information today, and I'll pass that on. That'll be on the website as soon as I get it.
And you said UF, I would assume that's University of Florida?
Yes,
Okay.
University of Florida. It's their foundation, and the plan is all I'm doing with those patches is I'm holding back just enough to cover the expense of the patches. Everything else is going to go. That's the plan. If we can, the more we can put into it, the better. There's not to say that there won't be another one of these down the road. We have Rheumatoid Arthritis Day coming up in September, and then there's World Arthritis Day or month coming up in October. So might be other times we might do something similar. I figure,
Yes,
let's see how this one goes.
Infancy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. A lot going
Right.
on.
Well, I love what you're doing, the work that you're doing, and the awareness that you're bringing to arthritis. Because again, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I know it's just as near and dear to you. So appreciate you putting all the hard work in and look forward to joining your challenge. I will say I'm seeing your RuckFit patch. Once you're gonna
Yes.
need a hat that has two patch holders.
I know, right? It's like, yeah, I figured I'd throw this one on today. It lives on my bag, on my ruck. Your challenge was one that actually was a lot of fun, because I posted about it. It ended up being 10 days in 3 states. I was traveling at the time. And so I started the ruck in Florida, it was like a couple days in Texas, a couple days in Georgia, and then back in Florida again to do your challenge. So I just kind of made the best of it. It was back into the camera bag with whatever gear I had in Texas and Georgia, and then when I got back, I was into my normal stuff. So it was fun. And I think with this, it'll be the same thing. Like, go out and have fun with it. Get outside, get some fresh air. And I can't say enough, Kayla, about you taking this on and saying, yeah, let's put you on this thing and let's get it out there, because was not expecting that. Like when I messaged you about it, I was just thinking like, hey, if she can post something, that would be awesome. You know what I mean? So this is way over what I thought would be happening. And I really do appreciate it.
Glad to help. And I know, again, usually you're the man on the other end of the camera.
Yes,
So
very much so.
I appreciate you coming on and being on the other side of the mic today. Just to bring us home, any one last tip for a spouse or any person for supporting somebody with arthritis or chronic pain? Any one last tip that you'd leave them with?
I'd say patience. I think you just have to be patient. I mean, that would be the one thing I guess I'd probably throw in the mix. I probably mentioned it to a degree, but I think it's kind of implied with a lot of the stuff we were discussing, but I think that's the biggest thing. It's just watching what's going on, and you are helpless. So it is kind of frustrating. And honestly, some of those rucks have been that, where I've been out there and that's all I'm thinking about. So yeah, I think patience is a big one.
Right. Well, and I think too, like you were alluding to, just having that time for yourself so you can come back and be a good supporter too, because I know that rucking makes me a much nicer person to deal with. It helps recharge my patience tank. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it is yeah, I definitely agree with that. Cause I mean, there were a lot of times when I started rucking early on, especially because it was like, there was just a lot going on, and those days were great. Because the way I would do my rucks is I do them at the end of the day, which was crazy in Florida in the middle of summer. That's when I started rucking. So it's like 100+ degrees, humid, and I'm out there doing whatever I was doing. But I didn't mind it. Like, it actually was, like I said, it was kind of a relief at times, just being out there and just letting that stuff I'll say, melt off, because you're literally sweating it off.
You can't think about anything else when in that type of weather, and when you're sweating your face off, and all
Yeah,
you can think about is the frustration from that.
yeah, exactly. Just plugging along, just keep going.
Well, I love that. Thank you for your time
Thank you.
today. And for listeners, I will make sure that we plug everything too in the show notes, so you can click there and that'll bring you to the Ruck Forward website, and you can grab your patch and support arthritis. So thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. And if you're enjoying the Sugar and Strength podcast, if you wouldn't mind doing your girl a solid, if you go to the Sugar and Strength podcast on your podcast player, that could be Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, you'll scroll to the bottom. And if you tap those 5 stars, that helps me find new people. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can leave me a couple sentences on what you like about the show. Otherwise, thank you again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode.